This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
First of all, I think there's a bit of compliment that's due to Wright State. Here's a group that came off a tough road loss on the road, I believe, at Oakland, and was able to come in here and maintain, their concentration and poise to, get a victory, here in Callahan. One of the areas that, we have to continue to look to grow in is our mindsets, quite frankly, as it relates to offense and defense. 17 turnovers are, a bit disheartening, for a group of guys who have some veteran perimeter pieces out there. But in addition to that, I think we have to, continue to, do some soul searching. There's guys I've challenged, after this game to be better, in areas of the game as it relates to a sense of urgency, to get to shooters, a sense of urgency to get through screens, a sense of urgency to be physical on blockouts. And that's an area where I believe we need to make gains. So as we continue to do some soul searching, have enough humility and understanding that those are the things that contribute to winning, I think it's going to be very vital moving forward, that we just try to identify a group of guys that, can provide those type of things consistently. Now, again, not to lose sight of some individual performances that occurred, but if we're going to be the team that we aspire to be, we have to be way more consistent defensively. And again, there's some reluctancy, to, maintain or sustain focus. It could be tied to, I just missed a shot. It could be tied to, I didn't get a shot, and so that offensive habit, letting that fuel what we do on the opposite end is a really big Achilles heel for this group at this time.
There was a barrage of three-pointers from Wright State in the first half. 8 of 13 they made after one half of play. How do you plan on rectifying that for your defense and stopping that from happening going forward? Well,
the rectifying of losing shooters is based on communication. Our guys are in situations where they identify, they know, we scout, and understand who the shooters are. Now, getting there on the catch, is important. Fighting through a screen, communicating switches earlier and on time is very key. We're not playing in front of a sellout crowd, so it's easy to hear, on the floor defensively. And you can always hear a good team. And right now, we're not a very good team with regards to communication. So one of the things that helps, identify and stay attached to shooters is a toughness, of getting through screens no matter what, being there on the catch, and more importantly than anything, working early.
Now, I noticed that you held out Jaleel Hogan for a while in the second half. What was the reason for that? I noticed you only had 2 fouls at the time, so not in significant foul trouble.
One of the things is about getting other guys experience. Jaleel had yet another good performance, and for me to play him 35 minutes the other day, I couldn't expect to play him 35 minutes again. So there brings an opportunity for Malik Eichler to get out there and get some real conference experience. The other part of things is, what Jaleel's learning, just like a lot of his teammates who are veterans in the program, is they're learning how also to stay focused on the overall game plan. So there was an instance where, a play wasn't executed, as it was diagrammed in the timeout, and his substitution came out as a result of that initially. And then as the subs came in, they put together quite a nice run, along with Deshaundre Black and others, with Cole Long on the floor and Corey Allen. So I'm looking at, 4 newbies, out on the court, really, giving the energy and the concentration and focus that was required at that time. And then once Jaleel kind of settled in to some tough coaching there, he was able to be inserted back in the game and have some moments.
Now, 1 win and 3 losses on this 4-game homestand.
Mm-hmm.
What are the major takeaways for you from it?
The major takeaway for us is simple. We have to play defense. I think it's not only important for us to prioritize it, now it's to the point where Coach Alexander's looking for 5 guys that's going to really be committed to it. So either the rotation is going to shrink even more, until we find those guys, or we have to look at maybe becoming, a team that changes defenses more, some zone, some man, some full court. But I've never been a gimmick coach. I'm a 70 to 80% man-to-man guy. We may do some switching, different things to disrupt. But quite frankly, what I asked this group after the game to do is to look within. I think we can practice, harder. I think we can play smarter. 17 turnovers for 20 points. There's no defense for a turnover in transition. And so as we grow into understanding what winning basketball, takes, we also have to understand that this is a very unforgiving league. UIC and Valport are the next two games. And if you haven't been paying attention, those are two pretty good teams. Oh, and guess what? I'm sure Oakland is waiting shortly thereafter, a rival who's yet another pretty good team. So again, the sense of urgency of guys really, locking into their focus. I don't want to use the word buy-in because, you gotta know what's being sold before you can buy something. And those guys being really locked into our absolute stance, position, vision, and talk is something that must occur, or you're going to see sweeping changes by Coach Alexander.
Coach, one of those questions, one thing I was really impressed with today was Corey, and that obviously he had the big game versus Fort Wayne, 33 points. 5 points at NKU was probably the number one guy in the scouting report after you have a 33-point performance. And then, he came back today, 23 points at his first three. So, it shows the young kid that he's able to, push off that bad performance and, new game, new time.
Yeah, what we talked about with Corey Allen, and it was really nice to see him, not only get 23 points, but yet again, another very efficient game. That's what we're after with Corey, efficiency. 3 for 4 from downtown. I believe it was 9 for 13 or something to that effect, 9 for 15 for the game. And Corey, as a two-guard for us and a primary option, has to understand that when you're a marked man, every cut has to be a little bit harder. Every screen has to be a little bit harder. You have to add an ER on the end of everything. And so I think Corey did that. The other thing I told him is that if he wasn't shot aggressive, I was taking him out of the game. And so one of the things that he did is he got in there and played unapologetic. Now, yeah, you got veterans out there, and Chris Jenkins and Jaleel Hogan and others. But Corey, sometimes, talent is bestowed upon you at a young age, and he has it. He has that it factor, and we're not going to hold him back. We want him to be aggressive all night. So it takes pressure off Josh McFarley and others to do their thing. But, he's a kid that we want to continue to build our future around, moving forward.